All right, we'll go ahead and give people some time to join. Um, Man, it's kind of dumb that they have that Battlefield beta going on and it ends today and it doesn't go into Sunday. That's kind of dumb. Like, I understand they've had the beta open since the 5th, but or at least the 6th. But man, that's kind of weird. I don't like that at all. And I can't play the beta either because I have a overclocked RX 470 in this crappy computer. I doubt I could even play it. As I said, I'll let people join in here as I kind of bring up everything on the screen. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, how about that Lewis feller, man? He's scamming the Reum brothers out of. It's crazy that the Reum brothers just came out of nowhere, man. I did not have that on the what is it? The bingo card. I think that's what you call it. Let me get this load in there, and I'll let people join in. Probably should tweet this, but let me go ahead and tweet it too. For those of you watching probably on the replay, you know, I'd suggest putting on like 1.75, 1.5x, 2x if you can still understand what I'm saying, which I think that's how you should watch a lot of DFS stuff, or just, you know, watching a replay at like 2x or something. But let me get this here. A lot of different ways to go about it today. And it's not even considering that we might have weather involved. I think that's really irrelevant. It's the fact that we have so many people. Actually, I need to copy this. We have so many people that are that I have projected to score well. I don't think you necessarily need to have, you know, say like lineups that follow the traditional, like, you know, dominator stance or whatever. At Charlotte ROVAL. Let me just put this here. Okay, let me do that. Let me get my tweets out. Kind of not. I said I go live in like 45 to an hour a minute. Oh, I just typed in FanDuel. They don't even have that for this. I was walking the dog. Woke up not late, but didn't get everything I wanted to before I went live, but figured I'd be here, let people join, everything like that. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, but I think this is going to be, I'm going to enjoy talking about this race more than usual because it's not easier to explain, but I have more fun when I can easily visualize what I'm doing versus being like, oh, well, this is, you know, you can use this guy, or you can use that guy. So we're slowly getting people in here. All right, let me tweet that out. I probably need to put this in Discord as well. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. The Reum brothers did it. Like, there's no. That's so funny. Like, the Reum brothers. Like, there's absolutely no way that that card doesn't get better than like a 24th place card, even with everything being spec across the board. That's so funny. I do want to look into the card that he's running here, and so here's my first thought as we kind of let people join is NBM Motorsports. I need to look at Hattori as well, because back in my brain somewhere, I remember seeing rumors that they're going Xfinity Series racing next year. They're still going to do their truck program, but they've been expanding their Xfinity this year with NBM. I think they were doing that more to get themselves ready for the following year, or the next year, to go full time in it. And I'm assuming they're probably going to buy the 61 from NBM and use the points to at least get a head start next year. And if that's the case, then obviously we got Austin Hill in a legit car. We have Lewis, you know, basically just talking about how he's going NASCAR Winston Cup racing next year. And I need to let still Discord needs to open. And so we got Austin Hill, who's going to run awesome today. We got Lewis, who might actually be putting money into this race, because like, why else would you be starting a race and then announce a team and then run a shitty car? Like, this isn't a fact of, oh, they got it. Well, you know, he's got to say he's literally starting a race team next year, so it'd be a real waste of time to show up and not be competitive today. I need to open up the sheet too. We have, you know, Greg Alding, who's going to be racing as hard as he can because he's done that every time he's in the Mike Harmon car at the road courses. And so I like him a ton. Chris Wright is in a Sam Hunt racing car for JD Motorsports in the 15, and so he's in good equipment. And so there's a lot of situations to where I think playing guys from the back works out. And let me just get this to load. Discord is still opening. I got to put this in Discord before I can bring it up on the screen. But I have a ton of people that I think are going to why scam? There's a lot of scams in NASCAR. Let me see. Good morning. Yeah, so I'm waiting for Discord to open up first. Hold on. Okay, it's finally open up. Now I can bring this up on the screen because I really don't want Discord or anything popping up as I'm live. I hate that. Let me just tweet this out. And I need to block out some things here. And then I'll bring it up on the screen, and then we're gonna have some fun talking about this race because it's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of ways to go about this race, and I haven't listened to anybody else. I really don't care. I actually don't think anybody made any other content for today. So let's go ahead and put this up on the screen here. And okay, so this is why I'm very curious on how to build for this race. So these are my total DraftKings points that I have projected for every driver today. Obviously you can kind of see that 63.8 would be AJ Allmendinger. Like AJ Allmendinger and Cindric are my two highest projected drivers. Everybody else is very, very close in projections because fast laps and laps led are pretty much non-existent in this race. And so when you look at projections, like I have guys projected in here in the 40s, not necessarily this guy or this guy or this guy, but I have guys projected for the 40s starting inside the top 12. And I have guys projected for the 40s starting in the back. I have guys projected in the 30s starting inside the top, 17. I have guys projected for 38 or in the 30s starting 25th on back. And so there's a lot of different ways to go about this. The optimizer was wanting to actually use quite a bit of Haley. Let me open this back up. I'm not saying the optimizer wasn't useful today, but it's wanting to use, obviously it's wanting to use as much salary as it wants to, whereas it can. And because of that, I think it's just filling in like with Haley or Gregson or even Gibbs, because salary is not an issue today at all. Let me get this kind of working in the background. I'll refer to this as it kind of goes along. Put Haley back in there. We even put him working higher in there. So there's a lot of ways to go about this race. But I have, let's see here. I would say I have 23 guys, or 22 guys projected for about 33 points or more in this race. And sure, I mean, that's a nice player pool, but there's so many ifs, ands, or buts around these guys because I have a lot of guys projected them back to score around 22nd, 23rd today. If it's a wreck fest, well then, place differential gets even more important. If Cindric, which personally I'm not playing Cindric today, I think that Cindric and AJ Allmendinger end up pushing 35-40% ownership each because I think a lot of people are going to play Cindric and AJ Allmendinger together, and I don't think they're both optimal. I think AJ has a higher chance of being optimal than Cindric, and I don't think Cindric necessarily leads the entire race. We're going to see guys staying out at the end of stages. We're going to see really dumb things. Like Charlotte is a really dumb race. If you look back at the previous Xfinity Series races, we always see guys spin out. We always see guys run into issues. We always see people end up in the tire barriers. Like, this is a terrible racetrack. I'm going to try not to rant a ton, but this is a joke of a racetrack, People only enjoy it because people just end up wrecking all over the place and they call it a good race. We've seen before that depending on when the cautions roll out, we have teams that are legit slow or like who shouldn't be leading end up taking the green flag for a restart, stacking up the field. We're going to see somebody punting somebody into the turn one barrier on the outside at some point today. And like I said, if we get weather, then I'm not necessarily planning for it, but I do think we have sprinkles in this race. I do think we go to the rain tires at some point, and it opens up a lot of ways. And so that's kind of my thought. That's kind of how we're approaching this. And so we're going to head back over here and kind of break down who I'm liking more and who I think is in play. And so we're going to probably, this is when we're legit going to go back to the ranking. And so I like the rank. I do enjoy using the letter grading in terms of this, because I can kind of just talk, for the next 45 minutes to an hour, really breaking down how I feel about each of these drivers. And as we go around, I'm just going to remove guys that I'm not going to use. And so personally, I'm not going to be playing. It really depends on what the optimizer wants to do. I might play a lineup with Haley in it, or even Gregson. But at the moment, we're going to say no to everybody starting 2nd to 11th, because there's just guys who score better than these fellers here. And so we have Cindric, who personally, I'm not going to play Cindric. I think his ownership comes in higher than what his chance of being optimal is. And I think there's a chance that the race winner, especially if it's not a Allmendinger, ends up being like the 2nd or 3rd or 4th highest scoring driver today. And so maybe you still need him, but I think there's going to be so many guys closer in points that you don't necessarily need him. So for me, I'd give Cindric a C. If you're making a lot of lines, if you believe Cindric is going to walk away with this race, then play him. Ty Gibbs, based on my stuff, I don't have Ty Gibbs hitting 5x value. I think Ty Gibbs is actually really overpriced here. I don't see Ty Gibbs getting the lead at any point in this race. I do have him projected for a few fast laps and laps led, but realistically, I don't see Gibbs showing up today. If you're making probably more than 7 lines, I think I would have Gibbs in a line. But personally, I think I'm only going to play 5 or 6 today. And I'm probably not going to go to Gibbs, because the situation where Gibbs works is when Cindric fails or Allmendinger fails, or both of them fail, and he ends up being the guy who ends up winning the race with, the 11 or 10 place differential points that you get from him winning or getting up to the front and winning the race. And I just think in a situation like that, we're going to see, if a situation like that occurs, then we're seeing a lot of chaos, and you don't necessarily need the 10 place differential points that Gibbs gives you. You're going to need the 30 place differential points, or the 25 place differential points guys in the back give you. And so personally, I'm not going to play Gibbs, and so we won't even bother talking about him. Same thing with Snyder. I don't see Snyder really doing much here. Even if he gets, like I said, 8th, 7th, it's the same story. Like, I just think we run into a lot of chaos in the back. I love AJ Allmendinger. I think he's most likely to be optimal in this race. Even without leading laps or laps led, I think AJ Allmendinger finishes 2nd or 3rd in this race. And because of that, I like him a lot. Sam Mayer, we're not even going to include him. And some people might be like, oh, this is kind of extreme, just flat out blacking out guys and not use them. Well, like when I look at the projections, like I got Sam Mayer for 32 points today. That's Sam Mayer getting like a 13th. We've seen him on road courses this year, and when we look back at how Sam Mayer's done, I do this for everybody. And I open up the Cup Series sheet, and not the Xfinity Series one. When we look at Sam Mayer this year, if I can get this to load. Also, another reason, I need to get a new computer because both my hard drives are dying, man. It's very sad. This poor thing is on its last leg. I got 3 terabytes in the roll and just holding on. We got 2 hard drives, 3 terabytes in total, and neither hard drive wants to work at all. All right, so let's go ahead and find Sam here. And so when we look at Sam Mayer, like, how has he done this year? So 27th at Indy, 10th at Watkins Glen, 35th at Road America. Like, what can I give Sam Mayer? Like 11, 12, somewhere around there. So I'm not playing Sam Mayer. That's kind of why I'm just crossing guys out here. We'll talk about Yaley when we get down there. Moving on to other guys. So this is when the grading system's really going to work out here. And so I have, just like the video, I have Brandon Brown for over 5x. I have Josh Williams over 5x. I have Sieg over 5x. Jade Buford over 5x. Alex LeBay over 5x. Tommy J. Martins at 5x. And JJ Yaley over 5x. And now this is when, like, you don't have to get my projections if you don't want to. They're available to all tiers today because I like doing that at least once a month. So if you want my projections, consider joining the $1 or $3 tier if you don't want to pay the full thing. And then if you like this, or if you like how I talk, then you can join the $18 tier, either tomorrow for the Cup Series race, or, next week or whatever. But this is when, actually having projections on there, and that's when I, when I went here and showed, what I legit have people projected for. That's when you run into, how do you want to play these guys? And so if salary isn't necessarily an issue, do I want to play Josh Williams just because he hits 5x value? No, because I don't have him projected for a ton. It's easy for Josh Williams to hit 5x value because he's 5,300 at a road course. We're going to see Josh Williams finish, most likely in the top 16, but he probably won't push the top 12. And so him gaining, 2 or 3 positions somewhere around there, like, sure, 28 points might sound good for $5,300. That's what I have him projected for, but that's a 5.2x, and you can get better plays there. And so for me personally, I'm not going to Josh Williams, despite the fact I do have him for a 5x value. Brandon Brown is kind of the same situation, to where I'm going to give him a D because I don't necessarily need him. Like, Brandon Brown is in a salary, especially these 5K guys, to where I don't need that type of salary. I can pay up for guys who give me, 8 points more. Sorry, my allergies are acting up again. I can pay for a guy who's going to give me 8 points more. I don't need to play Brandon Brown just because he's underpriced. Like, salary isn't an issue this week. Like, I haven't seen any of my lineups, even in the optimizer, using, multiple 10K guys in some situations, getting anywhere close to the full salary. And so because of that, I don't think I need to go to Brandon Brown. I don't think I need to go to Josh Williams. Ryan Sieg is a situation to where if I do need a 5K guy, I like Sieg. I have Sieg blowing his, price out of the water. So in a situation to where you need a 5K guy, I think Sieg might be the best 5K play here today. Even with that said, I don't think you necessarily need him in lineups. Jade, I have Jade projected for 30 points. That's 5.4 value. I don't think you need that. I think you can upgrade at different places. And so for me, I'm not going to use Jade, despite the fact I do have him for 30 points today. Alex LeBay, going to hit a 5X. It's a situation where I want to try and pay up for guys who are going to score me well. If you compare Ryan Sieg and Alex LeBay, for example, I have Sieg blowing his stuff out of the water, but I have Alex LeBay projected for a very similar projection. And so where would I want to go there? I would probably actually rather go Sieg than LeBay. I think LeBay is going to gain ownership because we always see LeBay having ownership of these road courses. And what is LeBay really going to do? And this is the same question that we need to ask about Pardis as well. And so we've seen multiple races to where, LeBay is up in the front late in the race, or Pardis is up in the front late in the race. And it always seems like these guys are the ones who kind of get moved around and pushed around late in the races by, these guys who aren't traditional road course racers. You see LeBay and Pardis specifically give a lot of room and race each other clean, to where you come to NASCAR and people just whack each other out of the way for these road courses. And so I think LeBay is probably going to be not chalky to an extent, but if LeBay pushes 22% ownership, I'm not going to be shocked here because I think people are going to be playing the guys who are good at road courses. But when you look at him in the grand scheme of things, I don't think he's necessarily a slam dunk play here. Tommy Joe Martin's a situation to where, I got Tommy Joe Martin's hitting 5x value. I don't have him doing much after that. I'd actually rather play Sieg. I'd rather play Kyle Weatherman. I think Tommy Joe Martin's is a guy that people are going to end up playing in the 5K range because he's more attractive than Weatherman. Hold on a second. I got to sneeze and I don't want to just blow your eardrums out. Hold on. All right, that's much better. I was like holding that sneeze. I'm probably gonna do it again, but I just didn't want to like sneeze and absolutely blow the microphone out. When you get to Tommy Joe Martin's, in the 5K range, and maybe we do need to, once I'm done with this, kind of organize it by salaries and who we have remaining. But when you look at the 5K range, like you have Sieg there, you have Josh Williams, Tommy Joe Martin's, and even when you start looking at the 4K range, Matt Mills, Vargas, Weatherman, like Tommy Joe Martin seems like a guy people are going to go to and play. And I don't think Tommy Joe Martins does much here. When we look at how Tommy Joe Martins has has performed at the road courses this year, it kind of looks good. At the same time, it's not, that encouraging because the man's starting 21st. And so, when we look at pretty much all his races, even to 2019, we're going to look at Daytona Road Course, Indy, Roval, Watkins Glen, Montreal, Road America. Tommy Joe Martin's 24th, 13th, 21st, 37th, 27th, 35th, 19th, 20th, 40th, 39th, 18th, 19th, 15th, 18th, 25th, and 31st. So what is our upside from Tommy Joe Martin's? Like a top 15, like at max? If anything, like I think he's more around, an 18th place driver in this race, 17th place driver in this race. I can find other places I want to go here. And so for me, I'm personally not playing Tommy Joe Martins because I just don't see the upside from him. I see it from different players and stuff, or different racers. Let me see. Let's see. All right, Braden, let's see. So what am I giving? I already talked about it. If you want to die on the fucking Sam Mayer, go right ahead. I'm giving Sam Mayer 13th today. Like, why am I playing Sam Mayer even at like 35 points for, what is he at? He's 15th for 87. Like, fuck that. I'm not playing Sam Mayer. When we go to Moffitt, and so this is a situation to where I have Moffitt for, higher points than most of the people I've talked about here. He's $8,600. And so, I'm giving Moffitt like a 13th, 12th place finish today. I think that's a ceiling. We've seen situations to where he's been up front at the end of the races. If you recall Road America, when he was starting on the pole and his car died, but that was more of a pit strategy. And so anybody here can do pit strategy to get to the end, and that's kind of why I made the Squid Games joke. I'm like, no matter what I do, we're just going to have stupid shit happen at the end of this race that messes everything up. And so for me, I don't necessarily have Moffitt for a 5x value. I have him projected more for nearly everybody I've talked about up until AJ Allmendinger starting here. And so because of that, I'm keeping Brett Moffitt in the pool because if salary isn't an issue, I can take, not hitting 5x value, bare minimum for Brett Moffitt if he can get there purely on projections. Like, this is a race to where it's very rare we see races like this, even in the truck series, to where there's so little laps. What is it, 67 laps today? And so, that's 16.75 laps led and 30.15 fast laps. Like, fast laps are most likely going to get spread out today. And the 0.25 per laps is like, it's not really worth anything. Like, if you dominate the race and lead 20 laps, that's 5 points. Like, we're focusing almost on, or I'm assuming people are focusing on that like way more than we need to where if Brett Moffitt can easily get close to, being a top 10 scoring driver, regardless if he hits value or not, like I want to play Moffitt here. He's not a priority, but like he's in the pool for me. JJ Yaley, $6,200. I have him for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got him for 16th today. Not blowing the field away. And this is when I kind of get not worried to an extent. And Yaley is actually in the somebody asked me for the 17, and that is wrong. Yaley is not in the 17 car today. Pretty sure he's with BJ McLeod. Let me look. Where are we at? I'm pretty sure he's in the 99. Where you at, Yaley? Yeah. So like Yaley's in the 99 for BJ McLeod today, unless they switched. But where are we at? Rick Ware has Joe Graff Jr. in the 17. They've switched, or some of these teams have switched to where we have Balicki in the 07, we have Graff in the 17, and Yaley's in the 99. And so Yaley isn't necessarily in the Rick Ware car this week. Unless it's changed. Let me look. But at least yesterday when I looked, he was not in that car. Let's see here. Yet again, nobody posts anything here. Yeah. JJ, I'm very excited to be in the, like, this stuff is like, you don't even have to search it much to check these things. Like, why are we assuming that Yaley's in the 17? Like, I don't know. That stuff isn't hard to look up and search. Anyway, so Yaley in the 99, he needs to get points for this team. That's why he's in this car for BJ McLeod. And so I still think it's a good car. Yaley's going to drive the piss out of this car, but passing 7 guys max, I think that's his ceiling. And so it all goes back to chasing the points here, not necessarily the price ranges. Yaley's in the pool for me, but not a priority. I think, as you kind of just mentioned Yaley there, I think people are going to assume he's in the 17 and not fucking pay attention or look, and he's going to be probably over-owned than what he should be. Whereas Kyle Weatherman here, if you need the salary, I don't hate Kyle Weatherman here. So we're gonna leave him there in A for the 7,400. If you're paying down, I'd rather play Weatherman over Joe Graff Jr. To be honest with you. Now by a whole lot, I think there's 5 points separating those guys, but that situation there. Ty Dillon, another situation where the optimizer is telling me play Ty Dillon despite the fact I don't have him projected for a 5x today. And I'm hoping that people aren't really, I don't know. I like to assume NASCAR DFS players are pretty smart, but like last week is a prime example of how dumb a lot of players really are, playing so many guys up front, or playing like having Larson like 20% ownership and things of that nature. And so, is this a fact to where people look at value and see that Ty Dillon may not hit a 5x value, but he might still be needed in the optimal lineup or score well? Like, pricing is irrelevant this weekend. It's just put in as many high projected players as possible. And so I have ownership to Ty Dillon this week. Matt Mills, when we get to $4,600, I would prefer Weatherman. If you need that extra $100, we can go to Mills, but he wouldn't be a priority for me. Ryan Vargas, not going to do it for me. So we're going to banish Ryan, we're going to banish Sage Karam, and we're going to banish Will Rogers. Will is interesting. He is in the Sam Hunt car, but there's 2 Sam Hunt cars in this race, so you got to remember that. And Rogers, I'm not a big fan of. I think he might be. Where the heck are you, buddy? I think he might be overowned compared to what he does. He does have that 12th place at Montreal in 2019, but outside of that, recently, Indy this year 28th, Roval 2019 28th. I'm concerned that Will Rogers carries more ownership than he should. Now, if he gets top 15 and I'm not on him, he's most likely going to be optimal. But you could say that about anybody here starting 27th on back. If they get a top 15 because this race is a wreck fest, they're going to be optimal. Personally, I'm just not on Will Rogers. I'd rather play Chris Wright. If I'm choosing the Sam Hunt car for a discount, I'm going to play Chris Wright, despite the fact he's in the 15 for JD Motorsports this weekend. Moving on, Joe Graff Jr. Not going to play Joe Graff Jr. today. Just not going to do it. So we're going to banish him. This is where I like Josh Bilicki. I have him projected well. If this race gets crazy, I see him doing well in this race. I like Josh Bilicki a ton. I said that in the video earlier this week. I'm gonna have quite a lot of Josh Bilicki. And everybody back here, Parsons. Everybody likes playing Parsons. I don't know if it's Rotodoc or Stevie pushing him. And this probably wouldn't be wise for me to have a Roto-Grinders account, but I'm just not going to pay for that. But I wish I could see ownership here for these guys back here. Loris was Hins. He was initially a no for me. I initially had him projected with 23 points. I want to see the car. I know this is an MBM car, but like I said, they just announced the team. They just scammed the poor Reum brothers out of whatever money they're doing or giving them. Why would you announce a team this week if you're going to run a piece of shit car here? Like, it makes me like Loris more, and I like everybody back here. Gun to my head, I think Austin Hill's slam dunk play in the Hattori car. I like Greg Golding here. I think he's going to be lower owned than he should be. I love Chris Wright. I've been talking about him this whole race. Preston Pardis, projection wise, I have to project him for how he's been finishing. you know, when we look at Partis, we see a lot of poor finishes compared to what he should have done, and he's almost always chalk here. Where you at, Partis? Like, we all know where Partis runs. He's up in the top 15 in nearly every single road course race. Let's look at his finishes: 33rd, 31st, 35th, 10th, 32nd, 27th, 27th, 25th, 16th, 8th, and 36th. In the races to where he doesn't get moved out of the way, he's going to finish top 12. In the races to where he, you know, actually shows respectfulness, he just gets ran over. Charlotte is a race where people are going to get ran over. And so Partis is probably going to be chalk in this situation as well. I think he's the chalk most likely to bust. He's also the chalk that he's also one of the plays that I think is probably the safest play, if that makes sense. You might, Brandon, you're contradicting yourself. Like, Partis should easily get a top 20 finish, even if he has a bad day. It just depends on how far he ends up going up the field and how crazy this race gets. Like, I would not be shocked to see Partis running 18th 4 laps into this race, just flying by people in the infield. At the same time, I wouldn't be shocked seeing Partis gets wrecked on the last lap. So that's where we're at there. I like Partis. I'm worried about him. I'm worried about the ownership on Partis. Parsons, probably the only guy back here I'm not going to play. That's where we're at right here. I love Castle. I think Castle's going to be awesome today. I think Castle's going to play it really safe, play it smart, and get through the race. I'm sure he's been practicing all week for this. Boyd, if you need the money, it's either Kyle Weatherman for me or paying down for Boyd. That's where I would go there. We're going to leave him in there. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with Loris. I might have ownership there. But when we're here, like, we see legit how many guys in the back I want to play. And gun to my head, you know, this is when the ranking system comes into play. Honestly, not that big on Cindric. Honestly, not that big on Brown, Williams, Preferred, LeBay, Martins, Yaley, you know, Mills. Who am I? Who do I love in this situation? The guys in the back. And I'm going to have lineups where it's AJ Allmendinger and then guys in the back here. I'm going to have lineups where it's probably just guys in the back and then trying to sprinkle in guys up here. I'm going to run one lineup that the optimizer says, and it's most likely going to want to use somebody else starting inside the top 10 or Sieg and maybe somebody else in the top 20. But for me, it just makes a lot of sense to just play the guys that guarantee you, you know, 15 place differential plays or 12 place differential plays. And so who guarantees you that? Who checks that box out? So we're gonna put under my interest. Actually, I think it's high, right? Let me look. I don't remember. Anyway. So who checks that box for like minimum 10 place differential points? We'll do yes there. We'll do yes there. We'll do yes there. We're going to do yes there. We're going to do yes there. Yep. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So gun to my head, 8 guys that guarantee you bare minimum 10 place differential points. Just depends on how far they can go. If you lower that box and include 8, then that's when you start running to JJ Yaley. That's when you start running to Alex LeBay. That's when you start running into possibly other guys in the back. But that's how I'm approaching this race here. Yeah, we can start taking questions now. I can start looking through here. So, why the fade on Karam? Sage did an amazing job in his first, or not his first, I think his second. Let's look. He finished this year. Oh yeah, this one doesn't have. Let's take a gander real quick. Good old Sage. What? Oh no, Google crashed. My sheets crashed. All right. Let me open up racing references. This takes forever to load here because My thing just crashed. Oh, it's because Pierce is working on a sheet. That's why. I'm making it search for stuff. Pierce is reorganizing things. And so when you look at the IndyCar series and how Sage is done, I'm not using any of that type of stuff. I'm just using the fact that he's not used to these stock cars. And so the 26th place finish at the Indianapolis at Indy this year, he had an issue. They say it's electrical. He finished 3 laps down. I don't exactly remember what happened. No, well, it was a Jordan Anderson car, so it probably was when he had a electrical issue. But even when you look at how he ran that race, sorry, my nose is getting crazy again. Let's look at the lap by lap data for good old Sage. Okay. That's Road America. Watkins Glen. Indy. Where are the Indy laps? Okay, I gotta open up another thing. Give me a second here. Let's look up Sage's lap by lap data at. I'm probably not even close enough to the microphone. Look at Sage's laps at Indy this year. It was impressive that he finished 16th at Bristol. That was very, very impressive and unexpected. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Karam. So he starts 18th here. Drives up to 11th. We have a yellow on lap 2. Lap 5, he restarts 11th, stays in 10th. Under caution, he stays out when other people pit. He comes out 2nd place. On lap 19th, falls to 5th. Something happens lap 21 as he is in 25th. I'm not going to look back at to figure out what exactly that was. They come out of the yellow on lap 23. He's in 19th. Drives up to 16th. We have a yellow on lap 30. 33, he restarts 17th. 36 to 37th, he goes from 18th to 25th. Something else happens on that run as well. Exiting the caution on lap 43, 16th, drives up to 14th, 13th, 12 on lap 46, 47, and 48. So he's gaining position. Something happens lap 49. He drops to 18th. And he starts dropping like crazy. That's probably when we started having the mechanical issues. And he gets lapped and finishes 25th. I mean, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 yellows at Indy, man. 55 laps. And I'm just not too confident in Sage. Maybe I do need to. Let's see. He was running around 19th for the majority of that race. So what is that? If I give Sage, I'm giving him 20th right now. 21st. Yeah, like Sage getting me, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 points. Just not going to do it for me. So he's just not in the pool. And let's see. Oh, how you doing? Hey, Sheets, thank you for the $5. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that a lot. So thank you. Sheets, True DFS, go check them out. They do a lot of stuff related to MLB. Like, they almost always have a live stream for the MLB games every single day. Sometimes I tune in if I'm playing MLB, but I don't play MLB a lot. And they do talk about NFL as well. Sheets is a good guy, man. I would listen to him and Bobby Fye. Like, they know what they're doing. They win a lot of money. And Sheets has killed it this year in NASCAR as well. But thank you, Sheets. I do appreciate that. Let's see. What's going on, ACS? Yeah, let's see. I think that's really about it. Trying to imagine how I'm going to go about this. Because there's a situation where I play, 5 of these guys starting for 30th on back with a Allmendinger. And then I start thinking about, well, what happens if Cindric runs away with the race? I think it's going to be very hard to do. I think we're going to see yellows. We're going to see crazy stuff. I don't think he stays in front. Maybe not even due to his own, race. Just things happen where he doesn't maintain the lead. If Allmendinger doesn't get up there, who takes over? Might be Ty Gibbs. Might be somebody else in the top 10. if they do end up getting crazy and wrecking each other, then it's just a place differential race for me. And I think we're going to have ownership to a lot of guys in the top 20 when we shouldn't necessarily have ownership to there. Gibbs is going to be lower owned than Cindric. That's a pretty easy bet. I think a lot of highest owned driver is probably going to be AJ Allmendinger. I think it's going to be Cindric second. Cindric will be a top 5 and owned for sure. I think we're going to see Ty Gibbs probably closer to 17%. And that's just me thinking in my mind. I don't think people play Gibbs, and even I'm considering not playing him, just due to the fact that I think we're going to have other guys score similar to him. What's the reason for not liking Gibbs? Well, if projecting this race acting like a race, Cindric should stay out in front and lead. If Cindric doesn't do that, then AJ Allmendinger I have projected to win this race and lead laps. If that doesn't happen, well, then Ty Gibbs should be a contender to lead laps. But there's so few laps led in fast laps that we're going to have guys, and going back to this, and you can kind of re-listen to this on 2X because we've only been live for like 30 minutes. These are my projected points for every single driver today. I have tons of drivers projected in the 40s, just getting there based on place differential. Maybe a fast lap here and there with some of these guys. But you might not even end up needing Ty Gibbs. Like, you might just need AJ Allmendinger and place differential plays. And so Gibbs would probably be my third option if I'm projecting somebody to win the race, lead laps, and be optimal. But at that point, we have so many things happening to the front runners who should be up there. It might just end up being a wreck fest in the case of Ty Gibbs being there. So personally, I'm not on Ty Gibbs today. I understand why people will be. Also looking at his finishes, not concerning, but when we look at his road course races this year, Daytona road course, finished first. Cindric and Allmendinger took each other out. Won Watkins Glen, he did do that. Third in Montreal, and then 33rd at Road America. If anything, the argument should be fade Cindric and maybe play Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger together. But I think it's hard for just Ty Gibbs to work out today. That's probably how I'd go about it. So maybe I do that. Instead of my AJ Allmendinger and Cindric line, I just go Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger in that. Because I just don't see Cindric working out. And I see Cindric probably carrying a ton of ownership today. More than he should. If Cindric's over, if he's under 30% ownership, I'll be shocked. Yeah, I think that's really about it. I think I've touched on everything here. Yeah, good luck to you, Sheets. Good luck to everybody. Yeah, Gibbs and AJ. Yeah, it's a chalky race, and at the same time, it's not because we have so much crap happening. Like, I know there's gonna be a wreck at something. I forgot if it was last year. Maybe it was the first year they did this. They wrecked DFL coming through the chicane on the back straightaway on the first lap. I don't remember which race it was. If it was last year or the year before. Yeah, I was looking at the weather for Concord. Like, honestly, I don't care about the rain. It's just I'm building lineups the same way. I just like they're gonna wreck. It happens every race this year. And maybe that's me overreacting, but I think nearly every road course that's gotten really stupid this year, I've been scoring really well with like 2 to go. Thoughts about leaving money on the table? Hey, that's a good question. Yeah, right now I don't have anything near full salary right now. Like, I got some lineups. I think I've only written down one actually, and it's leaving quite a few grand on the table. I don't think I'm going to have a single lineup that pushes anywhere, probably like 800 left on the table. Like almost all my lineups will probably end up having over 1,000 on the table, might be a few thousand today. Just because really fast laps and laps led are irrelevant. And if for whatever reason nobody runs away with this race and people stay out for stage points or they pit or just something weird happens, then it just all place differential plays today. Just by how short this race is. Let's go ahead and take a gander at the Indy ROVAL real quick. Let me look at that. Who is optimal there? The optimal lineup was Cindric, Dillon, Lally, Haley, Williams, Castle. Cindric started second. He was optimal. Austin Dillon started 19th, finished 12th. He was optimal. Lally started 26th, finished 10th. He was optimal. Haley started 3rd, finished 2nd. He was optimal. Williams started 31st, finished 19th. Optimal. Castle started 33rd, finished 26th. Optimal. Optimal lineup left 3,200 on the table. I think that is very similar to what happens today. To where we're playing place differential plays, because that race had 62 laps. Today is 67. Cindric was optimal because he ran away with that race. Same thing with Haley. I think Cindric scored 59.1 points. Haley scored 49.5. You can argue those are the two dominators, and so I think it's a very similar construction to that, to where it's maybe gun to my head. A. Allmendinger is optimal. Ty Gibbs, 50-50 on being optimal. So those would be your two guys who are your dominators. Everything else is place differential. And so that's when you start arguing, do I not want to play Ty Gibbs, go A. Allmendinger, and then just back up the place differential plays? Because there's more place differential plays in this race than there was for Indy. So let's actually bring that up over here. Take a gander at how many place differential plays they had at Indianapolis. I don't think they had enough because they came off of a real race the week before and not... Well, no, they came off of Watkins Glen. So everybody was starting where they should have, yeah, based on a road course. And so who started in the back? Let's look. Oh, and I forgot. They all fucking died on the first lap over the jumps. Don't know how I forgot that. But let's go ahead and look at the starting positions, to where actually looking at that line, looking at the optimal for Indy, it should have been way fucking worse than it was, because we lost so many guys who started in the back. So Yaley got damage on the first lap. Sieg died on the first lap. James, you could say, ran into issues. Actually, well, no, he finished, but no, Yaley got damage. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So when we look at starting position, I was looking over here. So who ran into issues starting in the back? Chris Wright took the jump and wrecked. Plumlee wrecked at the end. Hill, I'm pretty sure he went over the jump and messed up his steering box. Sam Mayer wrecked, obviously. Then we had people like Harvick. Yeah, we had a lot of the quote-unquote good place differential plays who would probably have gotten you the 10 place differential points you needed, all went over the jump. Moffitt got damage. Brandon Brown went over. Yeah, Brandon Brown destroyed the chassis. I remember I was Sam Hunt too. Whoever was on the Sam Hunt car. Chris Wright, yeah, that's what happened. And so this race probably should have been way higher in place differential than it was. Than it ended up being. You got Preston Pardis wrecking. Again, you got Will Rogers running into incidents again. Says he ran out of brakes, but I don't believe that. I think something else happened. But this race should have been way wilder. Like, I actually looking at this, I don't think, and it's kind of stupid saying because anything could happen, but if there was more people left in the race, Haley at scoring 49.55 points probably wouldn't have been optimal. There would have been more guys probably in the 50s. Yeah. Interesting thought. Let's see. I don't fucking answer lineup questions. Play whatever you want, Jason. Would you rather play Galding or Partis? They're both fucking risky. So, not risky. Like, I have them both projected well. So, Greg Galding, and I hate using last year so much, but it was a situation last year to where I loved Greg Galding. Like, I lost so much money on Greg Galding. He was fast. I knew he'd be fast. I knew they brought a good car because Mike Harmon understands that these road course races are when they have the best chance to score well. Greg Galding drove up through that field, had a top 15 car in speed, didn't have radio communication. I think it was because of the water. And slid through a chicane or something. NASCAR told him to stop. He did not stop. He didn't know he had to stop, and they stopped scoring him. And he didn't know that until he came down pit road, and they were like, they stopped scoring us like 7 laps ago. We're done. And so I think Greg Galding's going to run top 20 today pretty easily. Partis should run, as I said, should be a top 13 car. It just depends on what happens with these guys late. I love them both. I like Galding more because I think he's going to be lower owned, but I like them both. Yeah, that's how we're at right there. That's kind of why I like. Let's see. I'm very curious, Jason, because I don't have that lineup because I think it's going to be pretty highly owned. Let me take a gander what I have that lineup projected for. So that is AJ, Gibbs, Hill, Galding. And I want to compare this with other lineups I've made to see where this is going to be. So we got AJ, Gibbs, Hill, Galding, Wright, Partis. Yeah, that's right there. And so that's a situation to where that's probably going to be a lineup if everything goes green. How many people were in that contest? 7,000? Anyway. So that's a lineup in my head that's probably going to be a lineup that's going to finish probably... Yeah, there's 7,000 people. If everything goes well, that lineup should be competing for around 100th, probably to 60th in that contest. And I think a shitload of people are going to play that lineup. And so there might be a situation where there's just... This is kind of why it's chalky. So if that lineup finishes... Say it ties for 102nd. Probably going to be a lineup that finishes with $27 on that. So I think that's a great line. I think it's going to be very popular. I think a lot of people are going to play that line. It's going to be a situation where that line is either going to be finishing tied for 30th and being beat by maybe like 1.75 points for first, or it's a situation where it ends, 150th, tied for 150th for like 30-something people, maybe 40, maybe even higher. To where if you're fine, putting $10 in that tournament, walking away with that line winning you $27.33, or you just don't play that line and try and aim to finish first, pivot off a guy there, here and there. And so that's why I don't like answering line questions, because I think that's a very strong line. I think it's going to be very popular. If you're playing cash, I would probably play that line. If you're playing high dollar cash, I think you're probably going to end up seeing a lot of people play that type of line. It's a line that's going to score very well today if everything goes well. But do I think it's optimal? Do I think the return on investment is worth it to have so many people play that line and possibly split wherever it finishes, to where if it finishes first and a lot of people have it, you might end up tying with 40-something people, to where... So what would that be? That'd be like... It's very similar to Showdown in that. So let's just say it's $19,000 divided by, say, 46. It's $413 if that lineup finishes first today. that's just a situation where I'm going to just try and get different off of that line in like 1 or 2 places to try and either score just a little bit higher or just to be different. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a strong line. I think everybody's going to play that line. And so, easy answer is yeah, play that line. I think it cashes. More in-depth answer, at least for me, is try and get different off that line, because I think that's a line that's going to put you in the top 2% of lines. If this race goes the way it does, if Pardis gets fucked at the end of the race, it doesn't matter. Or if Greg Alding, runs into an issue because he's in a My Karma car, it doesn't matter. But if everything goes well, that should be a line that finishes in the top 2%. But these contests don't pay out fuck all after, the 8th place finisher. And so these contests are go for broke, Hopefully that answered. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I wasn't even looking at the thing. So thank you, Jason. I do appreciate that. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate that. Yeah. That's kind of how I look at it. You kind of got to go for broke in these contests, and so I think that's a strong line. I think a lot of people are going to own that line. And just like a lot of the road courses this year, it's been really chalky to where either a chalky lineup finishes or pivot off the chalky line finishes first, and you still end up tying with people. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. So thank you for the super chat, Jason Sheets. If you're still here, thank you for the donation as well. If you guys, like I said, all my projections are up today for any tier. So if you donate $1, or if you join the $1 tier on Patreon, the $3 or the main one, you get my projections today. And if you guys feel like donating, supporting the channel, because I don't do any sponsors here, just me, consider donating through PayPal as well. If you're playing cash games, I would enter that line. Just be aware other people might end up making that line, that was always my issue in cash, is if you're playing, say you're playing a cash or a 50-50 with like 50 people, and 17 people play the same line, there's like no edge there anymore. Like if that line cashes, well, anybody who didn't have that line scored money. If the line does well, then if you didn't play that line, you most likely not cashing that well. And so that's kind of why I don't play cash, but I think that's a fine cash lineup. Yeah. I wish these contests paid out better, man. I really do. I think we're going to end it there. We've been live for almost an hour now, so hopefully this kind of helps you out. And something dumb's gonna happen, man. It always happens, man. We're gonna see something stupid happen in the last 8 laps. It changes everything up. So if you're doing well with 12 laps to go, I'm sorry. We've been there. We've all been there. So it's gonna get crazy. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we will I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna do 11 Eastern tomorrow, me and Jordan. So we'll see you guys then. And